Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg, and today we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to begin with a big scoop from Jeff Snyder. As you guys are probably aware, in the last week or so there have been numerous rumours that Natalie Portman is returning as Padme Amidala for flashbacks in Ahsoka's second season. While this is definitely a possibility, Jeff Snyder seems to think there is something of a mix-up, because apparently, and this is massive, Natalie Portman did film some stuff for the Kenobi show, not Ahsoka, but unfortunately guys, her scenes didn't make the final cut. They were brand new flashbacks, and I have a suspicion about when in the show these were meant to be included. In the second episode, when Obi-Wan looks at Leia and says, "You remind me of someone fearless, someone who was a leader," we all knew he was talking about her biological mother, Padme, and I have a feeling it was in this moment they initially intended to have a flashback. But then again, maybe episode 2 is too soon, so another good guess is at the end of episode 6, before Obi-Wan returns to Tatooine. On Alderaan, he tells Leia about her parents, and tells her, just like Padme, she is wise and discerning. Honestly, that would have been amazing. But we also know there were versions of the original script where during Obi-Wan and Vader's final battle in episode 6, Obi-Wan had an extended piece of dialogue where he appealed to Anakin's past, maybe conjuring memories of Padme. Would you have liked to have seen this? But moving on my dear friends, the main topic of the day. We are mourning the loss of a very good friend, a friend who we first met in 1999. This is pretty funny. Darth Vader Killed Watto, and Star Wars fans don't know how to feel about it. I briefly spoke about this the other day. In the upcoming Legacy of Vader comics, between the events of Episode 8 and Episode 9, Kylo Ren is hunting Order 66 survivors. He goes to Tatooine, and there we see a flashback to his grandfather Darth Vader killing Watto, enacting revenge for the way he treated him and his mum. The Toydarian gambler, junk dealer and slave owner was not a good person. But Star Wars fans learnt about this, and it triggered a very interesting response. You know, as someone who's very into Star Wars comics, both expanded universe and canon, I was not the least bit surprised. We know Vader returned to Tatooine on a couple of occasions, and we also know that Watto had 2 separate deaths. On one occasion they implied it was Darth Vader who did the deed, and on a second, in the 2005 graphic novel Star Wars Visionaries, they say it was Darth Maul. But now my dear friends, in Disney Star Wars canon, it was in fact Darth Vader. And to be honest, it's quite a fitting death. I mean, at least they acknowledge Watto. His death could have been a throwaway sentence in a random novel somewhere. And I much prefer Darth Vader being full of rage and enacting revenge than Watto simply fading away on Tatooine and dying from old age. I suppose my only real complaint is, why was he not included in the Kenobi show? We were literally on Tatooine, and this was the show that promised prequel fan service, prequel callbacks, cameos, and to my mind, Watto makes the most sense. With certain elements of the prequel trilogy, Disney is apprehensive to bring them back. But you know, in the scene where Reva comes back to Tatooine when she's looking for Luke, I know we don't see Mos Espa, but imagine if she landed there, and there was a scene where she consulted Watto. I'm just saying, if there was any place to bring Watto back, I would have preferred Obi-Wan Kenobi than a comic, but I don't find this as egregious as some fans do. So, how did the fandom respond? Well, there were lots of good jokes, plenty of hilarious memes. Let's take a look. Well, I did not expect Watto to get a canon death when I woke up this morning. How can you do this? Rest in peace, Watto, I guess. In the arms of the angels, or whatever. Poor guy. They killed Watto for going electric at the Tatooine Folk Festival. I seem to be more affected by Watto's death than I realise, sir. And hats off to this person, this is my favourite. Crowds have begun placing memorial flower bouquets outside of Watto's home on Tatooine. The sheer amount of flowers just completely out of place. And then the one frame with Watto's face on it. Absolutely brilliant. This one is fantastic. On January 24th, 2025, my good friend Watto was murdered. Okay, for this one we need to be a bit more somber. Just read about Watto and feel gutted. Yes, he was a slaver. Yes, he risked their death by pod race. Yes, he resold Shmi at a late age. but let's not forget, he stood up to the Jedi's tricks, he had a cool hat, and cared about his slaves a little bit. Just a little bit. His legacy will live on. Well, that sure did bring a tear to my eye. I don't know about you guys. The funniest thing about Watto's death is that I thought it was a meme, and then I was informed it was real, and I legit sounded distraught when I found out. I like how Star Wars fans aren't mad at Watto's death because they like him, they're mad at the idea of Vader going to Tatooine and not noticing Luke/Obi-Wan. Yeah, I mean look, if this was 2015, I get it, but I think we're beyond that discussion. If you look at the new Star Wars comics and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, there are some issues, some plot holes. If you really want to talk about something fans got really upset about, let's talk about why Obi-Wan left Vader alive in Part 6. Obviously we know Deborah Chow had to connect this to the original trilogy, so Obi-Wan and Vader meet again in A New Hope. But fans who didn't like the show insist they could have gone about this a different way, because now it looks like Obi-Wan is the reason the Empire kept prevailing. He could have ended it right then and there. Seriously, out of all the people Darth Vader has killed, you're up in arms about him taking out Watto, the guy who kept him and his mum enslaved, resold her and basically led to her death, the creation of Vader himself. If Vader got a pass to kill anyone, it is Watto. Then you have more of the sarcastic, grieving tweets. Can't get my mind off Watto's death. Me too. But I've got to be honest guys, if this is what fans are getting upset about, they should take a look at some of the other decisions they've made across Star Wars comics in recent years. So many retcons, so many contradictions. This is nothing. At least this brings back a Lucas character that fans actually like, even if Watto was a bit of a scumbag. And I do implore you to watch the full video about the Kylo Ren comic. I made a video breaking down the context, the Order 66 survivor Kylo Ren might be after, the importance of Tatooine, and the person Kylo Ren goes with. Now that is gonna surprise you. And so finally, my dear friends, staying on the subject of the prequel trilogy, Kelleran Beck, the Jedi played by Ahmed Best, who rescued Grogu from Order 66, is having his backstory explored in Jedi Knights, the upcoming Marvel comic series. This is huge. We're not going to see what happened after the flashback. The series explores the events before the Phantom Menace, so we're going all the way back. But it's so awesome that we're getting more Kelleran. How do you guys feel about this? I have a prediction. The rest of the flashback is going to be in Jon Favreau's film. The movie is titled The Mandalorian and Grogu, so that would be a good guess. But share your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.